Have you ever heard of a crime so puzzling that it left professional investigators stumped for over a decade? Tonight, we dive into one of India's most controversial and unsolved mysteries. Let's go back to an ordinary night on May 15, 2008. In a quiet neighborhood called Jalvayu Vihar, Noida, Uttar Pradesh, a state in India. In a quiet neighborhood lived the Talwar family, Dr. Rajesh, Dr. Nupur, and their 14-year-old daughter Aarushi. Nothing seemed unusual, but the next morning, everything changed. Aarushi was found deceased in her room, her throat slit with surgical precision. The first suspect? The missing domestic helper, Hemraj, but then a shocking twist. Hemraj's body was discovered on the terrace. 2 murders, same house, same night, and nobody heard a thing. With the crime scene compromised and evidence weak, the investigation spiraled, even pointing toward Aarushi's own parents. After years of legal battles, they were acquitted. Today, the case remains a haunting mystery with no closure. What really happened that night? Join me as we unravel this mystery here on Cold Case Vault. Just when the police were certain they had found their prime suspect, Hemraj, the household servant, the entire case took an unexpected turn, turning the investigation upside down. Later that same day, residents in the building started complaining about a strange, foul smell coming from the terrace. At first, the police dismissed their concerns. They claimed the terrace was locked from the outside and that nobody had the key. But as the hours ticked by, the smell intensified, and curiosity began to outweigh official protocol. Finally, someone managed to force the terrace door open, and what they found there sent a shockwave through the entire investigation. Hidden beneath a heavy, discarded cooler panel was the body of Hemraj, the very man the police had been searching for as their main suspect. Suddenly, the narrative flipped completely. This wasn't a single murder with a runaway killer. This was a double homicide. 2 victims inside the same house killed only a few meters apart from each other, and yet somehow no one heard a thing. The most disturbing detail was the condition of Hemraj's body. The injuries were eerily similar to Aarushi's: a blunt force trauma to the head and a deep, precise cut across the throat. The question was no longer simply, who killed Aarushi? It was now the far more complex and terrifying question: who killed both of them? Meanwhile, the crime scene, which should have been meticulously preserved, descended into chaos. Neighbors and relatives were walking freely through the apartment, reporters were swarming the area, snapping photographs from every angle. Evidence was being touched, moved, and in some cases completely overlooked. Vital clues that could have helped solve the case were being contaminated or lost forever in the confusion. What should have been a straightforward investigation was quickly turning into a tangled mess of errors and missed opportunities. The police were stunned, struggling to make sense of this new development. The media, sensing a sensational story, began to weave their own narratives. And across India, the nation watched in disbelief as the details unfolded. Whoever committed these crimes did so with chilling confidence, precision, and an almost impossible level of silence. The list of potential suspects was now wide open. Was it an outsider who managed to get in and out undetected? Was it someone who was inside the house all along? Or was it someone that nobody, not even the police, had considered? Theories began to form, and wild rumors started to spread like wildfire. This first major twist shattered every initial assumption and proved that this was no ordinary case. As days passed, forensic experts stepped in to unravel the grim mystery. When forensic experts examined the scene, the details that emerged were chilling. Arushi's post-mortem revealed a severe head injury from a blunt weapon, likely inflicted while she slept. There were no defensive wounds, no signs of a struggle, just a sudden, horrifying silence. The clean, precise cut to her throat suggested a sharp, thin blade, possibly even a surgical instrument. Hemorrhage's injuries mirrored this exact pattern. 2 victims, 2 identical methods. This wasn't random. The killer knew precisely what they were doing. Investigators discovered partial footprints on the bed, but they were a dead end. They didn't belong to Aarushi, her parents, or Hemraj. So, whose were they? Complicating matters further, nothing of value was taken from the house. Laptops, jewelry, and phones were all left untouched, making robbery an unlikely motive. Then came the baffling internet router. Logs showed it was active between midnight and 3 a.m., yet the parents insisted they were asleep. Was someone else awake in the house, or was it just a technical glitch? Experts couldn't agree. Some visitors claimed the Talwar family showed unexpected haste in cremating Arushi's body, and their calm behavior raised eyebrows. Why wasn't there visible shock? Why did everything move so quickly? These reactions quickly sparked public suspicion. But grief isn't always loud. Sometimes silence is shock. Psychologists pointed out that grief can manifest in unexpected ways. Traumatized individuals can appear eerily calm as shock freezes their emotions. But the media frenzy didn't pause for nuance. Headlines quickly morphed into narratives, and talk shows turned into courtrooms where anchors pointed fingers. The family's private tragedy became a national spectacle. Soon, the investigation itself fractured. 2 separate teams reached opposing conclusions. One believed the parents were innocent victims, while the other was convinced of their guilt. The evidence became a battleground. Reports on blood spatter patterns contradicted each other. Interpretations of DNA evidence shifted. Key witness statements crumbled under scrutiny. It felt like science was scattered, logic was lost in the noise, and the truth grew blurrier with each passing day. As months turned into years, this case became less about finding clues and more about the relentless conflict that surrounded it. This case is a stark reminder of how complex the search for truth can be. As the investigation dragged on, the case finally stepped into the courtroom. But instead of clarity, it unleashed chaos. Prosecutors argued fiercely. This was an inside job, a murder committed quietly by someone Aarushi trusted enough not to scream. Defense lawyers fought back just as hard. The crime scene had been so mishandled that vital evidence was destroyed forever. Witness statements contradicted each other, reports were contaminated, and, shockingly, even 2 separate CBI teams couldn't agree. One insisted the parents were guilty, while the other swore they were innocent. Media cameras swarmed the courthouse, broadcasting every single detail. Every expression the parents made, every tear, every moment of silence was dissected on live television for millions to judge. Public opinion, fueled by relentless coverage, grew louder than the actual facts. The tension wasn't just in the courtroom. Outside, it exploded into violence. An angry mob attacked Arushi's father right on the courthouse steps. Blood was spilled, people screamed, and outrage completely drowned out reason. Inside the police van, her parents sat silently, their heads lowered and hands trembling as an entire country watched and passed judgment. In 2013, despite the missing evidence and the cloud of confusion, the parents were convicted. For some, it felt like justice had finally been served. For others, it seemed like a desperate attempt to close a case that simply had no answers. But the story wasn't over. 4 years later, in 2017, the High Court overturned the conviction. The final verdict stated something chilling. Suspicion cannot replace evidence. Too much was mishandled, too much was missing, and too much simply didn't make sense. Yet, an acquittal doesn't mean closure. Even today, critical mysteries remain unanswered. Who locked the terrace door on that first day? Where is the true murder weapon? Why were the footprints found at the scene so inconsistent? And why were key clues seemingly ignored from the very beginning? Some people believe the killers came from outside the home. Others insist the truth lies hidden within those four walls. Many feel that the intense media pressure twisted reality, creating a narrative that was impossible to escape. In the end, 2 lives were lost, 2 families were destroyed, and a nation was left permanently divided. And the truth? It's still buried somewhere in the silence, waiting to be found. After the tragedy, neighbors lit candles, whispered prayers, and hoped the truth would shine through the darkness. Yet, even today, that prayer remains unanswered. So, what do you think really happened that night? Comment your theory below. Maybe your insight can reveal a clue the world has overlooked. And remember, never get involved in crime, because no matter how deep you bury a secret, the truth always finds its way to the surface. Subscribe to Cold Case Vault as we continue unlocking the mysteries the world forgot. Stay curious, stay safe, and keep your doors locked tonight.